right, Noah Green here with the Car Guys, and who do we have here?
Max Reynolds.
Awesome, and what did you do this weekend, Max Reynolds?
I got 9th place at the Wisconsin Regional with Draco Burning Abyss, and getting 9th was so devastating that I actually got sick. So, enjoy the profile.
Alright, let's see what we got.
Alright, so, yeah, business as usual, just 3 Farfa, 3 Scarm. They're the only BAs worth playing 3 of. So, you know, you just play 3 of those. Graf, Sear, Libic, and Barbar were the only other names I played. I didn't want to use Calcab or Alec because the function isn't really as relevant as just having a Draco card in your hand. And you already have a pretty good chance at making Dante as is. So I just played ones that actually serve like a proactive function instead of just like reacting to something. And Calcab's effect is literally irrelevant in the deck because you just use Draco spells to deal with back row, so you don't really need it at all. So I just played these Burning Abyss names. I initially had started with the other names, but I just ended up cutting them for more Draco cards because they're just like very strong. So played those BAs, Tour Guide, 2 Rhino. I had played this at the Michigan Regional, and I was only playing 1. And that was a big error. If you have Rhino Diagram, it just gives you Graph for Diagram, and then that like normally results in Beatrice Masterpiece, which is like very, very strong. Normally gives you 3 interruptions because you have a pretty good chance of hitting Fogblade at any point in that too. So that's really good. Let's see what those. For Phantom Knights, you just like have to play the deck with them. So it's just like standard ratios. The main reason you have to play these is just because of Master Rule 4. If you have a Link Monster, your BAs will just kill themselves, unfortunately. So you need an engine to supplement your plays and, you know, keep going. But also, they just make your mills really strong. I don't really know why. Like, everyone that does do well with this deck does not play these cards. Maybe I'm just retarded, but I don't know. Every time you mill one of these cards, it's just another card for no reason. So it makes milling 3 more valuable, whereas in a regular Burning Abyss deck, milling 3 isn't as good. Because if you don't have Tour Guide, you probably don't want to mill it, and you just want to have, like, Scarm. So this just makes your mills better. Also, they complements milling Draco cards because you actually just, like, want to mill 3 all the time. And if you were to play Draco BA without the Phantom Knights, it would be, like, really awkward to mill 3 because you mill 3 and you hit your Tour Guide, and that sucks, but you still want to mill 3, so you actually hit more cards for Masterpiece to banish to pop. So good cards, just please use them. Very good. Fogblade's also just like unfair. And then 2 Masterpiece, shout out to Connor. Just insane, like nobody saw this coming. You can just tribute Fogblades that are sitting for it with like a Dante, and it's just really unfair, honestly. Also, the biggest problem I had with playing a regular BA deck as opposed to a Draco BA deck was the regular one could blank your opponent's turn really easily with like any sort of trap. Like you could flip anti-spell, but you're not going to be able to produce 8,000 damage on the next turn because of Master Rule 4. You can do like 7,000 at most, and that's like not enough because then they just get to play their spell cards and you're just going to lose. And Pendulum can just like set purple poison, and you're probably not doing much against that. So you need some help, and Masterpiece is just the guy you needed. So yeah. For the spells, I played 3 Diagram. If you draw this card, you're probably going to win. So I wanted to play 3 more with Terraforming. 2 Heritage. I wasn't going to play this at all initially. I thought that it was like incorrect, and this was just better because if you milled poorly, you could recycle. But if you draw too many Draco cards, you want to be able to like diagram one of them, and like sometimes you can draw 2 off your Heritage. Also, playing against Draco in the format, like Draco's very popular. So if you're playing against a Draco deck, you can just like pick apart their board and then draw like 3 cards off of Heritage. It's like very easy, and you just get so far ahead. And also Draco playing against the BA variant, it's like very hard for them because they have to waste all their pops trying to prevent you from killing their Masterpiece, and eventually they're going to run out, and your cards are infinite because you have like Dante and Sear infinitely, and Masterpiece, like, you don't have to drop right away, like, because if you just make Borreload, like, they just can't do anything. So it's like very good against the Draco deck. 3 Allure. I think Allure was like very important to have in the deck. And also another reason Phantom Knights are good. They're kind of shitty cards if you don't draw 2 of them, so just get them the fuck out of your hand and draw some Draco cards, win the game. Very, very simple, cut and dry. Rhoda to add Draco, or Phantom Knight cards. Maybe I said banish Draco cards back there. Still retarded. Banish your Phantom Knights. Can't banish your Draco cards. Foolish. Shouldn't have to explain that. Upstart. I played 41 in Garden City, and that was wrong. Just move the deck down to 39. Very good. You just really want to see like your combos, so keep it as consistent as possible. Triple Fog Blade, and then 1 return. I thought about playing Apocalypse, but most of the time you just want to summon Masterpiece outright. You don't want to like do it on their turn as often, so just return. But return's also super cool because if you have like Diagram and you know you can't end on Peace or something, but you like have a mill or something. If you mill Masterpiece, normally you would just be diagramming for Masterpiece. But if you mill Masterpiece, you can just diagram for this, and then you have not only Seer floating forever, but you have a Masterpiece floating forever, which is really hard for a lot of decks to deal with, honestly. And then eventually it just like goes to attack mode, and you no longer have to farm for things to kill them. You can just actually kill things, which is also another reason why I really like this deck. You don't have to scooch it out of the way and attack for like 25 and pass. So that's awful. The only problem with this card that you have to be careful about that I didn't know until I was like playing a lot more games with it and testing was after you resolve this effect, you can't special summon for the rest of the turn. So if you have this down with like Beatrice and you're just like flip this to bring back Peace, they can kill your Beatrice and you don't get to summon a monster from your extra deck, which is like a very big problem. So you have to be careful about when you trigger this, but it's still very important to have in the deck. So it's a 40 card main, 39 with Upstart. The extra deck, shout out to Bowden.
There he is.
There he is, yeah. It's 1 Beatrice, just 2 Dante. You don't really need the third. It doesn't come up like ever. It's like very rare that you're even making a second one. So just 2. You really need this card. Like this card is really important because a lot of decks are just producing a bunch of boards with negates. So you need to be able to like throw 2 BAs into 1 card for this, and then if they negate that, you just like do more, and then good to go. It's also just like very good utility, and against Trickstar, sometimes you have to like get rid of the field spell, and you can't just like make this to do it. Sometimes you need to have attack points because they can crash with this, but they can't do a damn thing about this. So yeah, this card's really good. Levier, very important in the deck. It helps you get to higher links. So like this is like how you make Borreload primarily. That's about all I have to say about Levier. Nightmare Shark, I don't think I'd enter a tournament without this NBA, just because people don't seem to know what these cards do. I don't really know why. It's been 4 years, I think almost 5 coming up, and they still don't know. So you go into time a lot, and you know it's just pretty unfair in time. 1 Mac and Cheese rare, Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon, the ugliest card in my deck, but it puts in work. 1 Virgil. I did not use this. Actually, I used this card once against Blue Eyes.
Blue Eyes, huh?
Yeah, the Blue Eyes matchup. You really need Virgil for. So,
right.
Yeah, I'd recommend keeping him in for that. But if you know if Blue Eyes wasn't in the format, you probably just don't play Virgil. It's pretty bad otherwise. 1 Pilgrim. Shout out to Columbus. 1 Underclock Taker. It's broken because it makes Tour Guide or just having Graph and a BA like a 1 or 2 card Beatrice. And then something I tried this event that I didn't use at the last was Isolde. So the reason you play this, aside from it just being able to add Phantom Knights, is if you do open Tour Guide or the Graph thing on your first turn and you use this card probably isn't living on the next turn. So if the game goes longer and you need a way to make Borreload, it's a lot harder unless you have like a way to like link off a Dante and a Phantom Knight for this. So then you automatically have the link too, and you can like Fogblade back a guy, and then like maybe like reveal another Boots or something. So it's like a lot easier in that aspect. But also its effect is kind of neat because it just like gives you a Phantom Knight if you don't have one for your next turn, or it can give you a card to like allure away, which is kind of cool. 1 Deco Talker. I don't think I ever used this. I probably wouldn't play it again. So I'm not really sure what that would be. Maybe like a Reaper target, or like I don't really know. Just a better card. Maybe F-Zero? No, that card sucks too. And Borreload, just fantastic. I used it a lot, so don't enter a tournament without this card. It's very, very good. It'll come up. The side deck was 3 Chaos Hunter. Every time I think about cutting this card, it just like gets better and better, and like a tournament experience. It's just so good against like the 60 card decks. If they like they're having a good turn, you can just like discard Rhino or Farfa, and you have 5 copies of that and Graph in your deck, so you have like 6 in theory. So you can like not only like prevent them from snowing, but you just get to like interrupt their turn. And if you're playing against Trickstar, not that like you should be losing to that deck, but this just like cements the victory. So Chaos Hunter, very good. And I don't think it's as good against Invoked. It's like okay, because normally their special summon is just like a fusion, so it's not as good. 3 Ghost Ogre. This is the only hand trap I'm playing, I guess, besides this, if you want to call it a hand trap. I think hand traps just like aren't very good right now, just because of a mono. And yeah, like you can get FTK'd, but better have it, I guess. I don't really know. Like, I think they're so bad against like everything else that you don't really want to risk playing them. And in a deck like this, you can't really afford to draw like unplayable cards. So you just like want to see more engine. So that's why I played 3 Ogres, 3 Stogs.
Stogie, huh?
3 Twin Twister. This card's great in BA just because you can just like discard any name, get their effect, and clear 2 cards. It's much better than Cosmic. Shout out to Jordan for donating these to me. 3 Dimensional Barrier. If you're not playing this card, maybe you can't afford it. I don't really know. It comes common, so you should be playing it. It's crazy. It's literally just unfair. 3 Evenly Matches is the worst card in my deck. I don't know why this card is worth its price. It's literally, it's objectively good. You read the card and you're like, wow, this card's great, and you play it and you're like, this card is horrible. It's just terrible. I would not recommend playing this. If anything, it would just become Cosmic or like Kaiju's maybe, or maybe more hand traps for the FTK if I was like going a second. So yeah, that's the deck. You know, shout out to Noah for coming this far to record this. I didn't really think he would do that.
Drove all the way to Wisconsin for this one.
Yeah, I'm really happy about that. Shout out to Jordan for getting his first regional top at Wisconsin. Shout out to Richard, his hairlines, you know, it's going a little further. He got first place though, so that was cool. Shout out to Chick-fil-A. We're working on getting sponsored. Shout out to Cassandra. Shout out to Alyssa. You know. And yeah, I guess subscribe if you haven't. We'll try to post another video in the next like year. It's kind of how it goes here at Voltage Games.